everybody. I've not made a video in a long time, and I realized that today I got ready to make my lunch and I decided to make a video instead. What I'm doing today is a pot of lentils, and I will show you how I do that. 90% of it is just chopping and boiling, um, and each person that makes a pot of lentils has to decide for themselves what flavors they like in there. Um, there are there's no one way to make lentils, and there's no wrong way to make it. And it takes about maybe 45 minutes to boil it all down once you get started, and then the chopping. So let's get started. I'm going to tilt this so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, so to get started with the ingredients, I've already chopped up a potato and put it in here because I like potato in mine. And I just buy the green lentils. You can get these at most grocery stores, but if you have access to an Indian market or a Middle Eastern market, you'll get a better selection. So I'm going to put in, let's see how much. That's a handful. Second handful. Yeah, that's 3 handfuls. Because this is a vegetable soup. Vegetable stew really with lentils, so you don't want lentils and nothing else. Okay, so I've got my potato in there. Next I'm going to chop my onions. And anybody who's watched any of my other videos knows that I just really love green onions. So I'm going to trim the tops off there. Get out of there. And I don't think that you can have too many onions in here. I really don't. So I'm going to chop that up really quickly. And the size pieces are about that big. So you can make them larger or smaller if you'd like. It just depends on how large of a bite of onion you want in your mouth. And you can use any onion you want from this. I just really prefer the green onions personally. I like their flavor. Tastes more gardeny to me. So I'm going to put that in there. Now, mushrooms. I'm going to start out with these many. Wash them off real quick. Then after I get all those in there, I'll see if I want more. That's always easier to chop it if you take the stems out first. See that? It's always easiest. And your pieces don't have to be tiny, but they can be. Chop those stems up. These are just your regular white mushrooms. Portobellos would be okay in here too. I would not use the Asian mushrooms for this because this dish boils for a long time, and you want a light mushroom flavor, but you also want a firm mushroom. So king mushrooms would be okay, but I wouldn't use an oyster mushroom or a shiitake or a hen mushroom, and I would not, well, maybe reconstituting dried mushrooms is okay. I'm not sure. I've not tried it. That might be enough mushrooms. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay. And then carrots. This is coming together pretty quickly. Carrots have a pretty strong flavor, so I don't use as many carrots as I do mushrooms. Now for some celery. This all chopped up and see how much we've got. Pieces about that big. See there? You can make them larger or smaller as you want. Just depends on what you prefer. I'm going to put in a little bit more than that. Sorry, adds just a little bit of sweetness to it. Okay, now the star of the show is garlic. I use a little more garlic than most people use, so I'm going to use 2 large cloves in this. And these are large cloves, so that would be maybe 4 small or 2 large. And we've all peeled garlic before. Got to push on it, peel that off. Comes off pretty good. There we go. Or you can take the flat of your knife and push on it like that. Now, if you crush it, that's okay, because you don't have to have a whole cloves. You're going to chop it up fine anyways. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that sometimes I use the grater. I grate my garlic. This isn't taking very long. See? It wasn't bad at all, was it? No. Now, there's 2 different ways to go with your broth. You can do vegan broth and just use the vegetable broth, or you can just throw water in there. But if you're like me and you allow yourself meat, chicken broth, and I use this from Aldi's. This is a low sodium, free range chicken broth. When you're buying your broths, you want to look at the sodium content and be really careful about how much you're putting in there. I've noticed that the regular broth that has a lot of sodium in it, you can't taste the salt, and you have to salt it anyways. So this way, if you get low sodium broth, you can control the amount of sodium that you're putting in yourself for flavor. So you see I've got about that much chicken broth on it, but I'm going to put in a little more. Okay. So I'm starting with a good amount of chicken broth, and then as it boils, I'll be adding more liquid, but I'll be adding water. Now, to put a little bit of fat in the dish, I'm going to go with a couple of tablespoons of butter. Now, the seasonings, what I throw in here is turmeric, because I like to give it a Middle Eastern flavor. It's probably about the equivalent of a half a teaspoon. I'm going to put just a few dashes of cayenne pepper, a lot of black pepper. Just pour that in there. Got some salt. Believe it or not, that's it. We are 8 minutes and 40 seconds in, and I've already got the whole thing chopped up and thrown in the pot. Now I'm going to bring this to a full boil, and then I'm going to turn it down to medium-high heat and keep checking it. You can simmer it slow, or you can simmer it medium. I do medium to medium-high heat, and it takes about 40-45 minutes. As you cook it, you will see the lentils start to soften some and break down a little bit, and you'll see what you want more of or less of in your lentils, and you will custom tailor your own lentil dish. By the time I'm done, there's just a thick, very, very little broth, but it's a very thick, it's not quite a paste, but it's between a broth and a paste. So it's more of a stew by the time that I get done with it. And then I just serve it with rice. No flavoring is needed in the rice, because this is so flavorful. Your garlic and your onions combined with your turmeric, give it just a lovely, lovely flavor. And then the chicken broth with the butter gives it a nice velvety thickness. All right, so that's how we do lentils around here at Casa Pashovich, and I'll see you next time at Eating at April's.